This Monero Matteo video is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Safely store, send, receive, and trade your Monero on Cake Wallet on Android and iOS. All right, what's going on, guys? I got my BitCope on today. I mean, I see a lot of people on Twitter commenting nowadays. They're like, oh, everyone I know is getting into Bitcoin. Everyone I'm running into, it's not even just Twitter. Everyone on the street's into Bitcoin. Guys, I own exactly 0 Bitcoin. Like, literally. We're a little bit different here on the channel. We go against the trends, but it's working out. Gold and silver is quite up. Uranium is up. Gazprom is up. The privacy coins, the Freedom coin sector is a little bit down today. It's a little bit depressed. Feeling a little bit under the weather, I suppose. Maybe it's because of the recent Bitcoin craze. I'm not sure. But decent opportunities abound to me. So nevertheless, I want to just have a short video for you guys today. I'm actually going on a trip here pretty soon. But before we start out, somebody had sent me a donation, and they attached into the memo the comment. Remember what we talked about, guys. If you wanted to do like a private super chat of sorts, what you can do is you can just send me a donation at the links below for Zano, Pirate Chain, Monero, Zano already, Conceal Network, and then Darrow. I don't know if you can do that with Darrow with a particular wallet that I have, but with those, you can send me like a message in the memo, and that's a way that we could privately send messages. So it's cool. It's innovative. Lutz had taught me this, so thank you, Lutz. But somebody had sent me some XMR for our wonderful Cake wallet, and he had sent me a follow-up message on Proton Mail, and he had asked me to look into centralized VPNs because there seems to be something going on where centralized VPN services seem to have a lot of connections with one another, and they even have connections with governments. And so a lot of people are concerned about how private these things actually are. And it's not as simple as, cool, I got a VPN, therefore I'm private. I guess you've got to be a little bit more on the ball in regards to that. So we're going to make a video on that at some point. But I do want to let you guys know that I'm going out on a trip here, and I'm going to be gone for a couple weeks, maybe a few weeks. We'll see how long I'm out there. This is what I did before I did this. I would travel around and go hiking in different places. But this time I got my GoPro, and so we're going to be making a lot of nature walk vids. I hope that you guys are ready for that. And I'm going to bring my mic and everything with me so that I could be on the road and talk with you guys and keep in touch. And maybe get to some developments as well, maybe at like a Starbucks or something like that. And I'm going to be like kind of hoboing it, just sleeping in my car and doing that kind of thing. And maybe I'll stay at a monastery or two on the way. I'm going to check out some monasteries because there's this one monastery called Holy Cross Monastery in West Virginia. And you can actually stay there and you can serve there. And so I might end up doing that for a little bit, which would be interesting. But we'll stay in touch, guys. But I just want to let you guys know that. And we're still going to be hopefully pumping out good bits of content because I know that you guys are loving the content. And I know that we're doing some good work here. So remember, guys, one more thing. I just want to say one more thing. If you want to get in touch with me and you're like a video editor or you're just somebody who likes to cut up the clips and post them places like, please, I will send you the MP4s and you could just cut up this stuff however you want to, share the clips, because I know like when you share a video with somebody and it's like an hour long, people are like, oh well, I'll check this out later, right? But and one of you even commented, it's like, bro, could you make shorter videos? I think that was you, Ryan. Yeah, we'll make shorter videos for sure, especially when we're on the road. But yeah, if you guys wanted to do that, if you want to reach out, get some MP4 clips from me, I'll give those to you. You could snip that up however you want to, and you can post that wherever. It's another good way to spread the intel. So I just wanted to put that out there. So we're going to have a shorter video today, despite the longer opening. And remember, guys, Patreon's pretty cool too. Check us out on Patreon. You get some benefits there. Although not so much recently, because everything that I've been putting out has been pretty important, so I've been putting it out for everyone. But if you want to sign up for a certain tier, You could ask me a question of any kind, and I will make a video response on that. So, let's go into what we wanted to talk about today. I wanted to just update you guys on the growing panopticonical, tyrannical evolution of our world, and again, why it is Monero so key, and the Freedom Coin Covenant. And it looks like we're seeing just more developments in regards to financial surveillance. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in the EU, what's going on in Turkey, and what's going on in the United States as well. Oh, and first thing, by the way, YouTube censorship is still a problem. DBK, you're a new subscriber. Love you. You talked about Zano. When I click on your comment, it's not there. But if you go to the video you commented on, the Monero ATMs video, which is a key video, by the way, I have responded to you. Yes, Zano is a cool project, and I've got my address below. I'm on the board with that. So, yeah. So first comment here, first article. This is from the Monero Reddit, posted by Carol Donk. Thank you, Carol. The EU is preparing to record all possessions of citizens, including crypto. Now, the source is down here if you want to check it out, but it's in German, so I couldn't read it. This is a translated version, but this is pretty interesting. This fell under my radar, so check it out. The EU is preparing to record all possessions of citizens in a register, quote-unquote, against money laundering, but the register will still be able to be used for other purposes. Right. And it's going to be a way to track your financial capacities. And as we're about to get to, is a great point that somebody made that I didn't think about, but is just so key. They're going to be wanting to monitor your banks, your crypto, and everything like that, because they know that with everything going on with the rollout of their climate change economic system, which is going to limit your consumption and have your consumption be based not on your credit limits, but on your carbon footprint limit, which we talked about in our previous video. Go check that out. As well as inflation getting off the chain, shortages, and a lot of ordinary goods moving into black markets and things like this. They're going to want to limit people's capacity to engage with the alternative markets, which are going to be invariably popping up as a result of all this stuff. And so they're trying to monitor people's money more so that less that money leaks out of the system that they're setting up. Again, which is why it's just so key for us to set up parallel economic systems using the Freedom Coins, right? So here we go. On July 16, 2021, back to the article, the European Commission's Directorate General for Financial Stability, Financial Services and Capital Markets, goodness. You know how worthless somebody's job is when they have this much, like, title displaying right here. Opened a tender procedure for a feasibility study on European Asset Register in the context of the fight against money laundering and tax avoidance. Yeah, everything's about quote-unquote tax avoidance. Janet Yellen was doing an interview, I believe with CBS, and she was like, yes, we have a tax gap of about $7 trillion, and this is seriously problematic because the billionaires aren't paying their taxes. And the lady asked the question, she's like, well, why are you wanting to monitor bank accounts of $600 if you're worried about the billionaires not paying their tax? And she's like, we need to go after the rich. They need to pay their fair share. It's like, had nothing to do with the question. But you see what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to go after the people that they want you to subconsciously hate, because the people at the top, they've been, grooming you for this. They want you to dislike those people because whenever they have a scapegoat, and this is what tyrants do all the time. Whenever they have a scapegoat, they can go after the scapegoat, initiate certain policies against those people, and then they spread those policies to the rest of the population because the camel has got its nose under the tent. And that's what we're seeing with the global minimum tax right now. They just rolled out this global minimum tax. It's been ratified, which means now you have the camel's nose under the tent for global tax infrastructure. And this is going to expand. It's obvious it's going to expand. And so when they initiate these tax initiatives against the billionaires, quote unquote, that's them basically saying, hey, we're going to roll out a new tax initiative, which is going to work its way down to you. Same thing that happened with the income tax. Back in 1913, I believe is when that rolled out. It was for the war. The rich need to pay more for the war effort, and now everyone's paying income tax. In this case, it's not even the taxes starting with the rich. They're just using the rich as an excuse to tax everybody else, like immediately, and to surveil everybody else immediately. So we're seeing a lot of tax avoidance arguments. And by the way, we wouldn't have a $7 trillion tax gap if Congress wasn't spending so recklessly, but you guys understand that argument. It's obvious. And of course, fraud prevention, which is something else we've talked about before as well. You're going to see Watchtower nodes on the Lightning Network. You're going to see other AML and KYC move into the space for that reason as well. So that's something just to point out. Back to the article, that register will be hosted by a European Anti-Money Laundering Authority, AMLA. It will link all national registries of real estate, businesses, bank accounts, vaults, and cryptocurrencies, key point, complemented by access to data on other sources of wealth, e.g. movable property, life insurance, securities, and luxury goods. The latter includes art, cars, jewelry, and gold. So this is what's going through my mind here. You have, go check out our the Internet of Things comes for gold and silver. We talked about in that video how they're starting to put chips into gold and silver bullion, which is going to destroy the fungibility of gold and silver if they do that enough, because then you could link the history of every gold and silver bullion, which means it's going to have the same problem with Bitcoin at some point. It's just not fungible because people value different gold and silver bullion based on where it's been, right? And of course, the gold and silver that doesn't have the chip, well, that's going to be valued differently than those that do have the chip, because people are going to have different valuations for these things, right? It's not just going to be the metal. And so I imagine the same thing's going to happen with everything else in the economy. They're going to chip it. They're going to include it in the Internet of Things. And then they're going to be able to more readily link your ownership to those things and have it included in the registry, which is what they're talking about here. So this idea of recording all possessions in a registry, that's the pretext, in my opinion, to the rollout of the Internet of Things, where everything's going to be chipped, everything's going to be tracked, everything's going to be traced that you own, and it's going to be tied in to the international tax system, and it's going to be tied into the surveillance state, which is being rolled out. So that's something to note. Next, the ANP already reported on July 20th that the finance minister, Wapke Hoekstra, welcomed the initiative. I am pleased that the committee has made proposals to better tackle money laundering and terrorist financing. Wapke Hoekstra prefers to see AMLA based in the Netherlands. Although the implications of this initiative for the privacy of citizens are enormous, that goes without saying, it received hardly any attention in the media. Only the trade press picked it up, but was silent about the possible consequences for ordinary citizens. This guy asks, all your possessions in a European register, do we want that? Doesn't matter, you're going to get it. And we see this coping sometimes from the likes of Pompliano, and I respect Pompliano. He seems like a genuinely good guy.
From the number one
but
rated brand, the new.
Here, let me just get rid of that. But he talks about in this video, well, why is it $600? Should we make it $1 million? Should we do this and that? Like, maybe we shouldn't have this policy. And it's just like, who's we here? There is no we. It's just the tyrants, and then there's you. And it doesn't matter what we want. I mean, democracy, that whole idea is gone by now. I mean, surely you guys understand that. And we'll get to a clip here, which is pretty key here in a sec. But, by the way, do I have the sound up on that? I do. Okay, cool. But, yeah, there is no we here. There are the plebes, and then there are the tyrants. And there are the people who are in control, who have billions of dollars, who are going to be able to somehow evade these regulations that they're rolling out with. These regulations are not for the billionaires. They're not for the elites. They're for you. And so just keep a lookout for this thing. What is this? Keep a lookout for that, right? So all your possessions in a register, do we want that? There is no we. Okay. They're going to do that to you. They're tyrants, right? So let's see. Alarm bells did go off in Germany, back to the article, which experienced what hyperinflations, money reforms, and wealth transfers bring about between 1914 and 1952. The leading journalist, Norbert Herring, spoke of the great dragnet that would bring together all information on small and medium-sized assets of all citizens in a huge database without touching gaps for the rich. The widely read weekly focus saw a danger for politically disliked citizens and journalists and even called for civil disobedience. A giant step towards a communist dictatorship. Threatened expropriations and wealth transfer were other headlines. So, correct. This is moving faster than even I had anticipated. But we have seen this coming, which is, again, why we have the positions that we do. You just want your assets off the system, guys. And this is what the Bitcoin bros don't get. This is what a lot of the crypto bros don't get. And this is why we need to share these links. We need to get this intel out there. You don't want your wealth on a public blockchain. You don't want them to see how much money you have. And people cope. They're like, oh, well, they can't take my wealth. They don't know my seed phrase. And it's just like, dude, okay, well, then they'll put a lien on your house. They'll take your phone, or they'll take other things. Maybe they'll take you to jail, right? Because they're able to track this stuff. And they're able to have these data analytical firms put tracers on your wallet. So if you even say, hey, that's not my wallet, I don't know what you're talking about. It's just like, okay, well, whose is it? Because your Bitcoins went from this KYC address to this address. Did you just not report this transaction? Because you're supposed to report this transaction. What was your gain on that transaction, right? And if it's your wallet and you're just like, oh, never mind, it is my wallet. I just lost the keys for it. Well, they're going to put a trace on it. And if any money moves from that wallet, boom, they're at your house because they know you lied, right? And so there's no getting out of this, guys. You want to make this move now. You want to get out of these public blockchains as soon as you can. Now, there are probably going to be gains to be had in the public blockchains. There's no doubt about it. But when people wake up to this stuff, the gains that you're going to have in the public blockchains, like, who cares? Like, why are you in Bitcoin? Like $100,000 Bitcoin, cool. You're getting like an 80% gain. Congratulations. Like, you're going to get more gains in gold as far as I'm concerned, given how much they've suppressed the price over the last 10 years. But look, it's not even about the gains. It's about your freedom. It's about being off the system because stuff like this is coming, you understand? And given that the on-ramps are still open, which is a miracle, thank God. I mean, you can still get to Trade Ogre. Thank God Trade Ogre is still open. I mean, that's a miracle in and of itself. But yeah, I mean, I would just, not financial advice. None of this is. And I'm not advising anyone break tax law. I'm not advising anyone break any law that's coming here or in the future, okay? But disclaimer, right? But like, seriously, think about this stuff. Just read this and understand where this is going. Furthermore, back to the article. And we did talk about this with the Fuentes video, how he had the FBI steal $500,000 out of his bank because he was at a Trump rally. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you could expect to see. But given what we talked about the other day in our Bitcoin censor video, it's unclear with OFAC, FATF, Bitcoin mining centralization, which we're seeing more of. A Bitcoin miner just went public the other day, and they're going to have over 50,000 miners who are going to be a part of their system, and they're going to be SEC and OFAC compliant because they're a public company. And so OFAC is going to be able to make blacklists of people that they don't like, and perhaps people aren't going to mine your coins, right? Because those blocks are going to be orphaned. Nobody else is going to want to mine those blocks. And then the opportunity cost is going to be too high for people to want to include your transactions into the block, and then you're going to be cut out of the system. What's going to happen with your Bitcoins, right? So, I mean, this stuff is just really worth considering. This is a reality, being a politically disliked citizen. So, again, just more stuff to think about. Back to the article. MEP Marcus Ferber voiced strong criticism. European Commissioner Mairead McGuinness stated that the Commission has never suggested the need for such an asset register. The European Parliament asked for the study, not the Commission, she sued. So they're going to play war games. How credible is that? Indeed, shortly thereafter, the European Data Protection Supervisor, the EU's independent data protection authority, welcomed not only the study, but also the measures in the September 24 press release. This shows that the proposal is a comprehensive, coherent package involving a large number of organizations and activities. The implication of the whole is that what is not on the register will soon have to be accounted for. Otherwise, it may be seized as unmanaged property. Key. Very key. And we've talked about this before in regards to Bitcoin and other public blockchain cryptos. If it's not KYC, if they don't recognize where these Bitcoins or whatever came from, they may automatically consider it tainted. And I don't know if they're going to be able to seize it, But yeah, they may not want it to be part of their system because it's outside the system, and therefore the value of those Bitcoins, which aren't KYC, are significantly lowered. Or they incorporate into the KYC system, and then it's tracked from there. But yeah, this is a serious concern. This is a serious concern. And you're going to see more gaslighting like this. And I made a tweet about this morning. When it came to the stabby, it was first voluntary. Then they bribed you to take it. And then they made it mandatory. The same thing is going to happen, I presume, with this registry, with the CBDCs. They're going to tell you, oh, it's going to be voluntary to include it in this registry. You don't have to get the chips in your assets. Just it's a cool thing to keep track of things. And, we talked about this in the MasterCard carbon video, right? Where it's just like, oh, well, people can voluntarily check out what their carbon footprint is using Deconomy and these carbon footprint data analytical measures. And then at some point, they're going to bribe you to take it. I mean, as we talked about yesterday, to use these data analytical carbon footprint measures and technologies, it's free. Oh, wow. Why is it free? Well, it's probably subsidized. So in a way, they're bribing the use of this stuff because it's free. Maybe they pay you to check it out, and then it's going to be forced, right? So it's a giant gaslighting methodology. You understand? It's a way to make you see the rollout of something that could be threatening, non-threatening at first. And then as it's rolled out, you're desensitized to it. And then they bribe you to take it so as to be incentivized to get into it. And as people get into it, you get kind of like the Jones effect type thing. Oh, well, other people are using it, therefore it's probably not too bad, right? And then they force you into it, the people who are left anyway. So that's the methodology to look for, and I anticipate that's what's going to be incorporated into a lot of this stuff. So that's worth considering. And now we're going to talk about the Biden plan for the IRS tracking $600. Now, we've talked about this before. You've probably heard about this. The proposal would require banks, credit unions, and other financial companies to monitor deposits and withdrawals in accounts that have balances above $600 at any time during the year. And, it's interesting, right? This is interesting. $600 was the amount that was given for stimulus last time around. You guys recall that? So if they do the same process again, where you get stimulus from the government, maybe it's over $600, boom, automatically you're getting tracked. Everything you do in your bank's getting tracked. So again, they're going to bribe you into this surveillance system. They're going to say, hey, you want that stimulus? Cool, just give up all of your financial privacy. That's the kind of stuff that we can anticipate here. So I just want to point that out. They say they hope to close a tax gap estimated around $600 billion annually. Right, and it's your fault, guys. It's you, the taxpayers' fault. It's not that they're spending trillions of dollars over there with pork-infested bills or, foreign wars and 800 military bases around the world, right? No, it's your fault for not paying your taxes, for not paying your pittance to these Satanists, right? So that's something to consider. But this was a good take. This is from Sonny Johnson. She says, the $600 bank account measure isn't for the rich. It's for the black market systems forced by government regulations. So key. Think, the lady doing hair out of her house with no license. Now the response, of course, would be, well, why don't they just use physical cash? Well, as we roll out the CBDC, as things become more digital, and people don't use cash like they used to. People are using Venmo, people are using Zelle, people are using credit cards and everything like that, right? So, cash is harder to come by. And even if you do get cash for your services, where are you going to put that cash? If you want to get it into crypto, you got to go into a bank first, right? Unless you're using like local Monero or something like this. You need to do something with that cash. You can't just stuff it under your bed, right? So, again, this is a way to prevent people from moving into the black market, which is, again, so key why you want to get into this stuff now, so that you can have that freedom to be able to have your options open, right? So, again, we need to get the word out, people. We need to get the word out. This is seriously coming. So this is a really key video I want you guys to watch and or listen to if you're on the MP3. Check this out. This is Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House. Listen not only to what she says, but listen to the enthusiasm she has about this. So check it out.
So Americans are starting to be worried about this. Do you think
Check it
one
out.
of the pay-fors in the Build Back Better bill that's been proposed is IRS cracking down on some unpaid taxes? Banks are starting to get calls from customers, and they're reporting these calls. They're concerned about its tracking of transactions that is greater than $600. So Americans are starting to be worried about this. Do you think that this pay-for of giving the IRS more money to crack down on unpaid taxes is going to stay in the reconciliation bill?
Yes.
And what do you say
Yes.
to Americans
Yes.
who are concerned
Yes.
about that?
Yes. Well, I mean, with all due respect, the plural of anecdote is not data. I've said that before here. Yes, there are.
So she's basically saying right there, you've heard people are worried. I don't think they're actually worried. The data that I have doesn't say they're worried. Why would they be worried that we're tracking everything that they're saying, right? Just total gaslighting again.
Concerns that some people have. But if people are breaking the law and not paying their taxes, one way to track them is through the banking measure. I think
Keyword, track them. You hear that, guys?
600, but that's a negotiation that will go on as to what the amount is. But yes.
But listen to the enthusiasm that she had when she said that. Yes, yes, yes. Did you hear that demon seethe? That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? They are just salivating at the mouth in order to get this power over you. It is a drug. Like, they've done studies on this stuff where it's like the people in power, like, they see power as an addiction. Like, seriously, people in power have the same addiction to power like coke addicts have with coke. I mean, it's mad. They have to get more and more and more and more of it because they can't be happy with the power that they have, right? They need consistently bigger and bigger hits, which means they need more and more power, which is why eternal vigilance is the key to liberty. What was that Thomas Jefferson quote? The natural course of things is for liberty to yield and for tyranny to grow. It's true because of that natural instinct on the behalf of power-hungry people and sociopaths like this to get more and more power to fill that hole in their spirit, that hole in their being, right? And she says she's a nice Catholic, whatever. See the demon. But let's go to Pompliano's take on this. This is interesting. He's a Bitcoin bro. Decent guy, again, but he never talks about Monero, which is very questionable when especially he knows about this stuff. And thank you, Matt, for sending this over to me. I appreciate that. I was not aware of this.
Ultimately, what we're watching is we're watching financial surveillance. And financial surveillance is not what America was built on. Instead, what we should be talking about is the fact that we need financial privacy.
So, yeah, I mean, it's great. We need financial privacy. And when he says we, I mean, I guess he's including the government in this conversation, but here's the problem. There's no we in regards to us and the government. Like, you guys understand this? They're just going to take your privacy away. They're going to track everything you do. It's not about what you want. It's not about what you want at all.
We should be encouraging more and more and more Americans to actually have the privacy. If you think about American ideas.
We agree, Pompliano, which is why you should join the Freedom Coin Covenant, my man, and stop talking about Bitcoin in this very enthusiastic way that you do. Because it can be tracked, it can be traced, and all that stuff, right?
Ideals and American ethos, what you remember is that it is not worth encroaching on any one single individual's rights to try to go after anybody that you might think is bad. I understand your job may be harder. I'm not saying that anyone at the IRS or the Treasury, Federal Reserve, politicians, etc. have an easy job, but it is their job.
They shouldn't have a job.
And so when you start to think about this, why are we encroaching on the freedoms of...
The reason it's not an easy job is because they make it difficult for themselves. And the fact that they make it difficult for themselves and their job is unnecessary to begin with means they have to make it somewhat difficult to justify their job to begin with. It's like what we were talking about with the FBI. I mean, they've got to set people up and they've got to make fake enemies out there that they honey trap in order to make, their jobs justified. Because I guess they don't have enough to do out there.
Of one individual in order to try to catch a couple of billionaires that you think might not be paying their full taxes. Plano, what do you think?
Yeah. So here's another story that I want to talk about. This is regarding Turkey. Now, Turkey has banned crypto as well as China. And both have done it in order to protect their currencies, which are getting weaker and weaker by the day. Which is why, again, you don't want to be too prideful when it comes to thinking that you defeated the banks and you've defeated the enemy. and everyone's going to adopt Bitcoin. It's inevitable. It's not inevitable, actually. It's going to be an uphill battle from here, ladies and gentlemen. But they do it to protect their currencies. And so I want to read this so that you can kind of understand where things could be going and why things are actually happening the way that they are. Just a theory, but I think it's a pretty strong case given what we're about to read in this article. Again, this is Zero Hedge. Having banned crypto, Turkey to track identities of all lira sellers. The slippery slope analog of tyrannical control continues to be proven right as Turkey removes the last privacy from its citizens' money-changing ways. Having banned anonymity protecting cryptocurrencies and crypto assets in April, citing irreparable damage and transaction risks. Bloomberg reports that money changers in Turkey will be required to record the identities of all their clients under new rules, following the lira's collapse to fresh record lows. Right, and it's because Erdogan's a crazy madman. He's one of these like coke-addicted, power-hungry tyrant people that we just saw with Nancy Pelosi. Like, he wants more and more control, more and more power. And he's fired his head of the central bank like 5 different times. Because whenever there is inflation, Erdogan wants them to decrease interest rates, which is completely the opposite of what you want to do. And the central bankers know this, who are at the head of the Turkish central bank. And so they're like either leaving the rates unchanged or they raise the rates. And Erdogan hates this because raising rates, it's like financial austerity. It's a painful process. But look, it's not as painful as long-term hyperinflation. That's the truth. And now people are fleeing Turkey. Capital's getting out of there. People are selling the lira. And so he wants to crack down on that selling, which means they are going to monitor everyone who sells, I guess. This new practice aims only to reduce informality in the industry, increase the level of institutionalization, and ensure compliance with international regulations. It does not involve any intervention in foreign currency markets. Yeah, so this dude was just recently hired. Turkish President Erdogan and central bank governor, that guy, met Tuesday as the currency continued to accelerate lower, despite the governor delivering a surprise interest rate cut for 100 basis points. So he did cut rates, and I guess it wasn't enough. So capital controls are being instituted. So just chaos in Turkey. They're going through hyperinflation here pretty soon, no doubt. Mirroring the situation we have seen in Venezuela and now El Salvador. Interesting. I'm not aware of that. Or is El Salvador going through hyperinflation? Oh, wait. Okay, so they said, yeah. Turkish businesses like hairdressers and small grocery shops have started to accept crypto payments out of convenience for their clients until that was banned. Well, it doesn't have to be banned if you use certain cryptos, which are maybe harder to trace and track, right? As the currency circles the drain towards hyperinflation. So, yep, going on the tubes. And we could probably see this coming in the United States and in Europe. I mean, as we start to go through this process, which we're not far away from, in my opinion, unless there's just some hiccup with the central banks, they lose control of interest rates, and then we have a deflationary collapse. But I do anticipate this is what's coming in the future for the U.S. dollar against maybe something like, I don't know. You're just going to want to be out of there. Now that every cash exchange in the country is under surveillance, what will be restricted next? And how long before Erdogan decrees a ban on lira selling? Period. Good question. Of course, the action by Erdogan is nothing at all, sarcastically, like the New Democrats' IRS surveillance state plan to track every transaction by an American over $600. Nothing like it at all. Remember, it's for your own security, privacy, safety. Pick your dissonance, correct? So, just wanted to point that out. We're seeing more connections. Is this a advertisement for a One Wheel? Hey, One Wheels are awesome, dude. If you guys haven't ridden one of those things, dude, they are sick. But anyways, that's it. That's all I want to talk about here today. Looking at the markets today, it looks like gold and silver are reacting quite positively to all this. Now, how long before they boom, smash it back down. I don't know, but it's a good long-term play. I don't care about the manipulation. It doesn't really bother me. More accumulation capacity, in my opinion. Same thing with the speculation that Pirate Chain and Monero are being manipulated to the downside. Who cares? Cool. Bag up. We know this is going. And like, again, as I say, even if the market does not recognize the value of these currencies, just get into them, okay? They're going to be valuable in the sense that you can just have your assets off the system, okay? Now, hopefully the market still sees some value in them. I mean, I anticipate that's highly likely at some point. People are going to figure this out. I mean, Pompliano right there. He's like, we need to value financial privacy more. But there's like this dissonance going on, right? Where it's just like, well, Bitcoin can be totally tracked and traced, but we should value financial privacy. It's sort of like that meme with the guy looking at the button. He's about to smash the button. He's sweating. And he's like, buy Bitcoin. Financial privacy is important. Which one should I pick? A little bit of dissonance there, but we love Pompliano. I think he's great. Hopefully I can talk to him at some point. Maybe get the word out to him and his people about the greatness of Monero and the greatness of the Freedom Coin Covenant. Haven, Darrow, Pirate Chain, Zano. Man, I got to make a rap about it. Maybe hit up Crypto Bear to do something like that. But anyways, that's all, guys. Monero Matteo. Check out the social media links below. I'll probably be updating often on there during my trip. Check us out on Odyssey, especially. Thank you, everyone, for coming to Odyssey. Odyssey is super key. We're going to definitely need that in the future. The ISR is going to come upon us at some point. There's no doubt. Just the information here is just so key. In fact, I'm almost rather hype at the low level of subscribers we still have relative to, I think, where we should be and where a lot of you think we should be. Some of you have made really nice comments. Oh, we should have 1 million subscribers. I know. But look, the crazy thing is our channel is not even 3 months old. It feels like we've been around forever because the amount and the quantity and the quality of the content that we put out there. But nevertheless, we're going to keep after it, just keep growing those numbers, upping those numbers. But, it's good that we haven't been banned off YouTube yet. But I assure you that's going to come at some point. But that's why you want to go follow us on Odyssey, because they won't, as far as I'm concerned. It's a blockchain-based social media platform, which has been pretty good so far. And it's good that you guys are making it over there, commenting, liking, subscribing over there. Really good stuff. So thank you for doing that. And then check us out on Twitter, Telegram, etc. Check out the donation links below if you want to leave a private super chat, quote unquote, so I can give you a shout out next video. Or if you just want to donate, don't want to do any particular super chat thing because you want to be private, whatever. Whatever you want to do. So that's it, guys. Monero Matteo, God bless. I'll see you next time.